This year, I'm not applying pressure. Pressure takes too much work. When you apply pressure, you got to keep applying pressure. Pressure's something you got to keep on. You got to keep on doing that. I'm applying power. When you apply power to a situation, you apply that to that and that going about its business. That ain't nothing I'm going to have to keep applying because I'm moving on to my next thing. So if y'all want to apply pressure this year, that's a lot. That tied us out. That tied us out last year. Applying pressure to everything that we need to do. I'm going to keep applying pressure. I'm going to apply pressure. I ain't going to keep on applying no pressure. When I say I'm done with that, when I say I'm about to step on your neck, I'm going to step on and keep on walking. I ain't going to keep on stepping on you. When I stepped on you, I stepped on you last week. And that one going to hold.
CareSouth Pediatrics and WIC Clinic is open for business. We want to take care of your children from infants to teens. Our new state-of-the-art facility features a bright, kid-friendly lobby, 4 exam rooms, and a lab. Our highly trained staff provides well baby care, child wellness exams, immunizations, school physicals, as well as adolescent care. Same-day sick visits too. Medicaid and most private insurance accepted. And we also offer a sliding fee discount. Call CareSouth Pediatrics and WIC Clinic today.
Well, hello, everyone. We're here. Welcome to the End Table. We are here with the season finale of the End Table, and I have a very special edition of the End Table. I have 2 very special friends. These are my friends of the family. I love them so much. Mr. Randall Dunn and Mrs. Erin Martin, the parents of the beautiful Miss Maggie Dunn. So I want you guys to welcome them into the building, give them a very warm in-table welcome, and let them know just how much we love, appreciate them, because tonight I said it would be a virtual hug. We're wrapping our arms around them and just letting them know how much they've impacted the community, Maggie's impacted the community, Caroline as well, and the way we all felt like family in that moment. So without further ado, I'm not want to talk. I just want to dive right on in. So guys, thank you so much for joining me on the End Table today. Thank y'all.
Thank you for having me.
It's nostalgic looking in your face, child. I feel like high school. This was my cheerleading coach in high school. This was one of my stepdads, one of his really good friends. So we are family here. I'm going to dive into the comment section already because they're already having a time. My mom is clapping you up in the comment section. She says, it's great to see you. Yes, Drew and I, they love you. You know, Drew and I love you guys. And Miss Kim, hey, she says she's watching. So, guys, how are you doing today?
It's a day-to-day thing. Better, obviously, than a year and a half ago, but we've got a very supportive community.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to work has helped. You know, I went back to work last school year, and the kids have helped tremendously in healing, and all the different things that we're trying to do as far as legislation and like the digital siren, all these little things are kind of the positive impacts that we're trying to make. That helps. Having a supportive husband, having Liam, having Tori, these things, these gifts that we still have, that makes it, that helps you get through. But every day there's a reminder everywhere you look,
Same question for you.
So, I mean, I echo what she says, people say everybody grieves differently. For me, this whole process was more or less having to obviously never forget, but move on with my family, because even though we had such a terrible thing happen to us, the key word is hope. If you lose hope, I think that's when you can really spiral down, and some people never return. So, and what I mean by hope, we've had a lot to be thankful for. We'll get to that in a minute when we talk about that day. But from hearing about what happened, we went from a sense of dread to immediately a sense of hope, because Liam was in a hospital.
Right. Okay.
So you're battling, the feelings of being, of having something so precious taken from you. But you're also, on the other hand, fighting a fight with someone and keeping that hope alive. And I think that I'm not really answering your question, but
you are.
But the thing is, I guess over the last year, there's different stages, and that's the point. There's different stages of grieving. I think the first is disbelief. You're like, it's kind of out of body, out of mind. It's like that. It's like, this can't be happening to me. I think that was just like, this doesn't happen to me. It happens to other people.
Right.
And it's like, even, on my way to the accident, I was like, there's not going to be an accident. I mean, it's not, this is not happening, and I think you move on to, you go through the grieving process where you're really upset, and you everybody is helping you out and saying, hey, look, if you need anything, give me a call. You need to give me a call. And a friend of mine told me, he said right away, he said, everybody's going to say, if you need something, give me a call, and they're going to be bringing stuff to you, and they're going to be helping you out. He said, but at some point, everybody else moves on, with their life, and you're, I don't say you're stuck, but you now have to cope with that, without all those things to keep you occupied.
Wow.
So what you do is keep yourself occupied, and that's what we're doing.
Was it a moment of disbelief for you? Like he said, did you feel that?
Well, I mean, if we're talking about that day, that was from the very beginning. Like, the kids left the house to go, just the New Year's Eve party was at my house. So they were kind of running errands, doing little things, and they had gone to get something. They came back. I laid down for just a minute because I was like, I know I'm gonna be up all night. And so I heard front door, and then didn't hear it again. So they must have just grabbed something and left. And a little while later, I get a phone call from Caroline's sister Mallory saying, "Did you hear about that police chase that was happening this morning?" Like, and I'm like, "No, And then she said, "Well, the police hit Maggie's car." And so I just had on slippers. I ran out, grabbed keys, and my husband was working on a truck, and I just said, "There's a wreck. They hit Maggie's car." And so he just jumps in the truck and we leave. And the whole way to the wreck, like not even 2 minutes do I live away. But in my head, I'm like, why didn't Maggie call? Why didn't Maggie call? And I started immediately rationalizing.
Oh, wow.
Well, Caroline might have called Mallory, and then I'm starting to get angry, like, oh, they trying to pull something, like the cops he's probably talking to Maggie, and Caroline's calling. But in my head, I knew, like, Maggie didn't call me for a like, probably, but I was trying to convince myself that there was some other reason. And as soon as we get to that intersection, I mean, my husband, there's cross traffic going on the other side, and my husband just like pulls in the intersection, jumps out, and as soon as he walks 10 steps, he just turns around, grabs me, and won't let me go to the car. It was so bad when he saw, he knew.
He knew.
I mean, yeah.
To piggyback off something you said, Mr. Randall, when you said this doesn't happen to me, like this doesn't happen. Actually, as a community, we said this doesn't happen here.
Right, right.
From our standpoint, we were like, that
Right.
it's something else happening. You know, like that. The story just doesn't sound like anything that would happen here at that intersection in this time.
Right.
At that time of day.
Right.
At that time, no. Come on. You know what else was it? So I can only imagine how you guys felt. But even in our shoes, we were still in a state of disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right. For me, I'm gonna take it to the day before
Okay.
because Maggie and Caroline actually spent the night at my house the night before. We actually went to a Christmas. Well, it was a Christmas party after Christmas because we were getting together with my brother and my sister-in-law and their family.
Okay.
And we were on the way back, and as always, they're scheming on the phone to try to, hey, Caroline, come spend the night.
You're right.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm sure she can spend the night. Caroline was a good kid. They were both good kids, but we picked her up on the way back, went on home, and they spent the night. Woke up the next morning, and I always cook them breakfast when she has on Saturday mornings. Cook them breakfast. I don't remember what I made them that morning, but they gave her a hug. I always did this. She never knew I was doing this, but when she would leave to get in the car, would tell her, I would use the word seatbelt 5 times. Okay, I would say underneath, I would put my hand down and I would go, look, you need to put your seatbelt on. You got to get that seatbelt on. Make sure Caroline puts the seatbelt on. And I would count them 5 times behind my back. And then so that day I knew she had a seatbelt. I knew everybody in the car had a seatbelt on. I knew it. There was no doubt. But she leaves the house and I get a phone call. And actually, I never told you this, but I'm gonna tell you today. So I got a phone call on one phone. I have 2 phones, a work phone and a personal phone. And you had called me on one phone, and I looked at it. I was cleaning up, and I was like, I'll call her back. But then the other phone rang, and I just knew it when the other phone rang. Right afterwards, my heart just went, just dropped. So immediately, and she tells me she's hysterical. She says, "Hey, look, Mac, we have the scene," and yeah,
You didn't believe me.
I didn't believe you. Did not believe you. I did. We got Chantel. My wife was in hysterics. We got in the car and we drove to the scene of the accident. Yeah, and on the way, I wasn't sure if Liam was still in the car or if. I didn't.
Did you know Liam was in the car when they left the house?
And I'm going to tell you what, after Maggie had a friend for a long enough time, he was no longer a gentleman, no longer nice. Like the fact that he would usually insist on driving Maggie's car if they went somewhere, or he would make the friend sit in the back. The fact that he was not in the front seat is a miracle.
What were the positions in the car?
Maggie was driving and Caroline was in the front seat and Liam was in the back, and he never would ride in the back. He would usually drive. So
it was a miracle, but it wasn't a miracle.
Right, of course, absolutely.
Right.
It would normally have been Maggie, and Liam
different.
in the front.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when I got to the wreck, the ambulance was basically just pulling away. I guess because, well, first of all, until they got into the car, and which took a minute, and until they could even get Liam to talk, they didn't know who the kids were, and their phones were everywhere. So, but a friend of mine is a deputy who got into the car, and not until he could get Liam to say his name did he know who they were.
So Liam was able to
have a
respond.
Yeah, he did tell him his name, and that he danced, and that's when his heart just dropped. He knew whose kid they were. But I got a phone call from somebody in the ambulance, because I'm standing there, and this was the most out of body surreal moment that I experienced. I'm standing here, still no one has even officially told me that Maggie was gone, but there was a tarp over the car, so I knew. But I'm on the phone with the ambulance, and they're telling me that he has a punctured lung, they think, and a broken leg. but they're able to she let me talk to him, and he is, his breath is real weak because of the lung. And I made him say I love you like 700 times, and I get the ambulance person back, and I don't know, I'm like torn between staying there at the scene with her
Oh my God.
and going immediately to the hospital. And I asked the person,
I've never
is
thought
he
of
gonna
that.
die too? And then I'm just, and right then I just realized, like, what is happening,
And no one had
But I
told you
had
that
to-
she was dead.
No, that I knew.
But you know,
They had a tarp, and I just said, is he gonna die too? And she said, I don't think so. And I said, can you make sure that you call me immediately if you think he's gonna die? And right then I knew right then, like, that I don't like, that's the most like out of body surreal moment right then, because it just, I knew, right, I had to like just hold things together, and to, I couldn't miss it if he did. I mean, it was just the most insane thing to even think that, but I knew I had to.
Yeah, and then she beat me to the hospital. I stayed behind to make sure things were handled right, with the investigation and everything.
what
And
made you want to stay behind that part?
yeah, just to make
It
I knew she was on her way to. She was on her way to the hospital, and I just stayed behind just to make sure, right, authorities were handling everything the correct way. I drove up to the hospital, and I get there. He's in intensive care by that time, and he's awake. So,
Really?
Yeah, so he's awake, and he's in a lot of pain. Okay, so she says there's only one person can stay with him. I think I stayed till about 10 o'clock at night. We had to leave. I think that's when we had to get out of there. And I went home, and she stayed with him, and I got a phone call. I don't know, probably
2 in the morning.
2 o'clock in the morning, and she tells me, "Hey, look, they had to intubate him. He's on a breathing machine. He's got all these things going on, with the lung heart contusion, lungs and everything."
So
I'm
things started gradually getting worse.
oh yes, yeah. I mean,
When we went to the hospital, they were saying his femur and tibia fibula are broken. They were hoping they would do surgery. That was a Saturday. They were thinking they would do surgery on Sunday.
Yeah.
They had no idea how bad the heart and lungs situation was.
Oh my goodness.
But when they realized that they were going to have to intubate him, that's when it turned into a 2-week. But to me, and that's another time that it was like, when they said they were going to do this, I was making sure I said what I had to say just in case. You didn't, I was
so
terrified then too.
my dad had a liver transplant
Okay.
when he was 60 years old, and he was on a lot of the same medication. So when I went back to the hospital at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you were there too when my dad was sick, I looked at everything Liam was on, and he was on life support. Oh yeah, like a lot of the same things. Yeah. So I knew things were pretty bad. Yeah.
It at any point, did it feel like I just want to just be able to say goodbye to him? If it was that, or you never said, he's gonna make it. Like, I know he's gonna make it. Or what is it? Just immediately? Oh, I mean, because
Well, that's what we would tell the doctor. We were, when it was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, we're the doctors. We had nurses saying, you need this specialist. You need to push for this and push for this. And that's when we were like, look,
well, that's
we lost this child. This boy's walking out of here.
Mhm.
But I mean, for the first week, and they told us it's going to look worse before it's going to get worse before it can get better. But there were times when it was very scary.
Yeah. So I mean, it was
We weren't
scary,
going to let it
but
go.
I know that's
I
right.
never, like I said, the key word is hope. And I just never lost. You just never lost hope. I mean, that's
To be able to never lose hope
never lost hope.
in a moment of disparity too,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
to
Yeah, I
let
mean,
go
look.
and hold on. That's what, like, it was.
Right.
But
I'm
having that hope
asking, did that
saved
what
us,
it
I
feel
think.
like?
Like,
Yeah. So it's crazy because if had we experienced the loss of one child, okay, and no one else was hurt, we would have gone home, and we would have been left to deal with that home. Okay, so we were dealt a hand of, hey, you had this happen to you, but you also, it's coupled with all this hope, you know, and to be able to go and have something to fight for, you know. So it's kind of like, yeah, the worst thing that ever happened to you, you know, happened to you, but you're looking at one of the best things that may have happened to you, the fact that he's going to pull through and he's going to make it. And look, I mean, he had how many stitches? He had a
75 or
skull,
80
he had a skull fracture.
staples just in his head.
They were doing
Hey, bud.
CAT scans.
He's on.
Yeah, they were doing CAT scans on his head for every 4 hours for 2 days, just to make sure
that he didn't have any brain damage.
The neurologist said he has no idea how he didn't have, you know, brain
There was
damage.
like a skull fragment, kind of like just like right there.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
he was able to identify who he was
Yes.
on the scene. You know,
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know?
Yeah, it really is.
And there was one time when the nurses came in and they would ask him these questions and they would be like, "Who's the president? Who's this?" And then she said, when is Independence Day?" And he said, 4th of July. And then the nurse looked and she said, and the other girl goes, "Yes, that's 4th of July." He's right. But I mean, and like, you know, we put off her funeral as long as possible so that we could, you know, we were hoping that he would be ambulatory and be able to come. And then finally we just had to schedule it for like Friday, January 13th. And it ended up that he finally was able to, he was good enough that like this was all healthy enough that he could have surgery on the 12th. And so it was like this happy, and it would, you know, he had surgery on his wrist, his arm and leg, both doctors at the same time. This is the day before. So it was like this hope, this happy thing, you know, finally could happen on the day before the most awful thing. So we had this both things. And I think all this good that we got to like constantly hope for kind of saved everybody, you know?
Yes. Speaking of that, healing, the journey. You even mentioned like the days after, once everybody's gone, and you know, I have to go back and sit in my thoughts and sit amongst her clothes and still smell her scent and these things. Take me there if you can. Like
those things are well, they're both tough and, you know, beautiful because I miss her scent. I tried to like, you know, close things up and hope, and it's not there. But it doesn't take long for memories to make you smile again too. You know, Maggie was just literally light. She really was. She was just funny and happy, and she didn't hold grudges. She was just a beautiful human being. She really was. And you don't have memories of her that are bad. And so you just can't help but smile when you remember her. And so I want those memories in the forefront. And you know, like when I hear her song, I'm gonna like blast it and sing it. And you know, because that's what we did. When it came on in the car, it was the hype song. And so, you know, I mean, and I get, you know, I get sad, but you can't help but smile too. There's some people who live a whole life and don't affect people and impact people and find as much joy as Maggie did in 17 years.
so true. Your healing journey, your healing process or grieving process. How has it been?
I'll tell you, Maggie went back and forth between, she was 17, so she went back and forth between her house. She spent a week at my house, a week at hers. But I think, you know, her friends went brutally. I live in Brighton, and most of her stuff was at your house. I mean, she had clothes and bed and bedroom and everything else. So I think, Erin, I think you may still have her room intact, right? Like, yeah, like the way it was left. For me, sort of.
I'll tell you how I did it.
So yeah, so for me, got everything that was important to me and kind of boxed it up, and, protected it. And I made her room my office, and I have pictures, so that I actually spend a lot of time in
intentionally.
Yes, yes, yeah. So that was my way of dealing with her absence,
Okay.
Yeah, and again, I'll say, they say like an idle mind, if you're just sitting around and you're thinking about things.
That is true.
Yeah, you really, if I get off work early on Fridays, and if I find myself in front of the computer on a Friday, I'll start looking at pictures, and I'll start, it's just, you start seeing pictures of, the kids that she was in class with and what they're doing. And so what you have to do is, you just have to remove yourself from that, and, and try to stay busy. That's what I do. For me, you just have to stay busy. Yeah.
Is staying busy your way of
coping?
Yeah.
That's coping mechanism. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
What's your coping mechanism?
Well, I mean, I could never avoid what her friends were doing. I taught them like her whole senior year. And so to me, that was always like, I kind of enjoyed like imagining what she'd be doing with them and all.
You do?
And they were like, especially last year, her senior year, they were always
incorporated.
I mean, I did not go a day without a hug. I didn't, and I found little ways to like make her. I had these little resin hearts made with flowers from her casket. And they take pictures with them at all the special things, the things that she would have been at.
Yeah.
And then they post them with the hashtag Maggie was with me, so that whenever I feel like searching, I'll search Maggie was with me, and they, they pop up like at prom, graduation, cheer tryouts, and first day of college, and all those things. And John Foster, he keeps his heart with him all the time, and his little koozies have Maggie was with me.
Yeah.
He just got this beautiful belt buckle, and on the inside it says hashtag Maggie was with me. I think she's in his pocket like on his American Idol auditions and all those things. So but as far as her room, like I know people can get really like that can be a bone of contention for people. Like,
Yeah.
And I didn't want it to be something that like, oh, Maggie, put that pencil there, don't move. So she loved her room. She loved her bed. So for Christmas, I had said like she wanted her to redo her room. So, but I wasn't going to just buy things and her not like them. So what we had talked about, the way she wanted it redone, I redid the things that she wanted the way she wanted them. And that way, when I look in her room, it's her room, but it's not like, oh, she left that just right there and I don't want to touch it. And I'll sleep in there sometimes once in a while, or I love to just go lay. She just got a big 50-some inch TV on the wall. So I say I'll like do yoga or something in there. I don't do yoga. But I mean, I feel at peace in there.
You do?
Very.
You feel at peace?
Mm-hmm.
I know you stayed, you were saying that you lived close to where the accident happened.
Yeah, and that was tough.
How was that?
I go to the cemetery. My husband and I go a lot at night when he used to get home a lot later. But we go 4 or 5 times a week, and to go we pretty much cross that intersection.
Mm-hmm.
But if you live in Brooklyn, you have to go through that, and we used to
take a while.
We avoid it as much as possible if we can, but it did take a while.
I need to go down.
Oh, we're fine. We're fine. Let's see. I want to go back to where we were discussing
about the grieving process, about your faith, and how your faith played a part in your process. Speaking about hope, just almost, I had chills, because to think how you have to still have faith in a moment when it's like, how could this happen to me? Like, how could you take my baby? Or I don't even know if that's how you ever felt at any moment, but tell me how you feel.
I honestly, I've never had that feeling. I did. Like, you know, a lot of people, you know, they
Get angry with
get
God
angry
or
with God.
something.
They're like, you know, I don't understand, how could you do this to me? I didn't, because there's a reason why she was taken. I mean, you know, it's to me, it's beyond our control. It was a reason why. Of course, you're very upset, but you just have to know that God has a plan. Has a plan, and it's not for us to question that plan. I mean, it is like I was speaking to a club the other day, and always when I talk, I always tell a group, I'm like, look, no questions off limits. You know, just y'all want to ask me about the wreck, you want to ask me about the guy that was chasing, you know, the chase or whatever. I ask, and most of the time people, they don't ask because they, you know, want to
Respectfully.
respectful. But one guy, you could tell he was mad, and he said how, he said that cop, he said he should rot in jail. You know, he said don't you just want to kill him, you know, something like that. And I was like honestly, I said I really don't. I don't want to kill him. I can't say that I've forgiven him. I can't say that, but it's not for me to forgive. You know, I mean, you know, I'm what is my forgiveness gonna do for that guy? You know, I mean, I don't. He's got his own judgment. He's got to get right himself.
You don't think your forgiveness will matter to him?
If I were to forgive him now, I'm forgiving him for myself. You know, I'm doing it for selfish reasons. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does,
Yeah.
because it is true, because forgiveness is for the person. You know, it's because I don't want to think about it anymore. I don't want the hate on my heart. I want to get over this. I want to get past it. So I need to forgive for me.
Right.
And
And it's probably a place I'll be at one day. But you know, yeah, I'm just not, you know, I'm just not there. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you feel about it.
I mean, I struggled with faith more after this, but I think it also kind of had to do with a lot of people's just, I think people don't know how to approach. People don't know what to say. They don't, you know, and when people would say things like, she's in a better place. No, she's not.
Right.
Like that's not that's what you say to somebody who's had
Tell the
cancer
truth.
or that kind of thing. Like, this was a child who, like, you know, had a 26 on her ACT as a sophomore, who was perfectly healthy, you know.
Well, at that time, you didn't think she was in a better place, but you can look back on it now and know she's in a better place.
I know she's in a better place, but she could have waited 60
right.
seconds to get there.
But I mean, if someone to tell you that,
Right.
now,
Absolutely.
yeah, you know.
But I struggled a lot with that. And when people say, like, you know, God has a plan, but I don't think God didn't take my child, you know, and, but I do believe that he was waiting there to receive her when she got it, you know? And so I can reconcile myself to that, at least, you know.
Yes.
I mean, this man, like, I believe that just crappy things happen to beautiful, perfect people. I don't think God took my child. God didn't cause this idiot cop to do this dumb thing. But I believe that God was waiting there to receive her, and I believe she's in a beautiful place. And I believe she would have done amazing things if she'd have had 60, 70 years here, and she'd have had beautiful grandkids for me, and you know. But I believe she's in a perfect place still. You know, and that's what I've had to learn to reconcile over the last year or two. And so I can be okay just thinking that.
Knowing that God was there to welcome her in.
That's
beautiful.
That's
beautiful. You know what I remember so distinctly is her hair.
Oh, yes.
I mean, those beautiful.
When she was little.
The curls,
white
the baby.
Oh,
the baby curls,
like it being brushed.
It was so tight. She had the tightest.
And let me tell you this:
curls.
the last year or so she was alive, we made and canceled, I think, 3 appointments to get highlights, because she really kind of wanted them, but she did not want anyone to be able to say that it wasn't natural.
Okay.
I was this close to having Father
That's a
Leo
girl.
say that in her little, you would he'd say, and yes, it was
It was
natural.
that was her hair, baby. It was all real.
Because that was her glory. Her hair was just, I mean,
It was gorgeous.
no 17-year-old has any business looking that perfect. I mean,
With hair down your body. It's like her hair just flowed down.
good. And
So beautiful.
100%.
So beautiful.
I mean, she did look just like me.
Well,
That
that is.
hair, obviously.
Well, all I can say.
But she
is-
did though.
So all
She
I can
did.
say is
She
when
looked
I,
just
when
like
I
him.
put her,
She
when
did.
we used
I
to,
don't think she looked
when
like
we-
him. She
when
looked
we
like his
would-
mom.
when we would put pictures up on Facebook, you know how it finds it tries to
Find the
tag
face.
the
Yeah,
person.
the person that's in it.
It would tag me. Like, I swear.
I feel a lot
Is
too
this?
beside
Is
me.
it was all
What
yes.
about this?
It's right here.
Liam might get the
Not yet.
Right.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So once we've now, laid Maggie to rest, now we have to put our focus on Liam. Was that easy? Were you still grieved? Because you just lost the baby. What did you
telling
have
him, I
to?
think, was the hardest thing.
I couldn't do it. She did it. I couldn't do it.
The way the way he reacted, though, I think he somewhere knew. Because for the first day, so he had the surgery Thursday, we buried her on Friday, and then the tube came out on Saturday, I think, and we didn't tell him till Sunday. So for that first day, it was like, where am I? What's going on? And we
Mhm,
told him
mhm.
you were in a wreck, and he never asked, like, where's Maggie? Like, why is she not
Yeah, why wouldn't she
visiting or
visit?
whatever? So we limited visitors that whole day because, like, we didn't have a million people coming back like we had the whole time. And so,
The biggest thing for me is whenever they brought him out, and I was so worried he was going to ask because I didn't want to lie. I
Right.
did not want to lie to him and say, "Oh, she's
right,
somewhere. She can't be here." So the palliative care doctor, we were working with him on how do you deliver
Mhm,
this news to somebody, and I remember us talking, saying, "This has got to happen because
Yeah.
sooner or later he's going to ask."
and that's why we didn't have anybody coming back.
Right, and
Or to say anything or slip up or
Right. Oh, and I was adamant when he was in the hospital, like, I don't know even when he's under, what he can hear, or, so, I mean, this was all over the news, so I didn't have news on, I didn't want anybody back there, like, crying and talking about it, I didn't want him to, like, inadvertently hear, subconsciously process something.
still such a good mama, such a good daddy, even in the midst, like you can't turn mama off. Like you can't turn dad off. It's still, even when your
Because
heart
that
is
could've put
breaking.
his healing at risk, you know?
Mhm, mhm. So having to tell him the news, and even about Caroline as well. Did he remember that no, at that point he didn't remember
He is
what
to
happened.
this day only had one very minor flashback. And it's just he remembers hearing somebody say, stay with me, stay with me. But that's it. And thank God, I hope he never remembers anything.
Right, exactly. As a mama, I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to know nothing. Why? The Med Foundation.
yeah.
Why? The
This-
purpose,
yeah,
how did it come about?
All right, this was born. Erin and I were talking in the hospital, and you gotta remember. Okay, so we get to the hospital, everything's going on. We start hearing that the community's getting together and they're raising money, and I'm like, why is everybody doing this? Why? And that's my fault.
Okay.
And I'm like, we don't need people to raise money for us. We have insurance, and I was having a hard time dealing with it. I was grateful, but I just didn't know. You know, what-
that makes sense. I never
Yeah,
thought about that.
yeah. It was tough. It really was. And we talked about a foundation, something to do with this money that everybody gave. And I didn't want anybody to do that for us. I just did. And a friend of ours, Lucas Rose, set me down at the hospital, and he said, "Man," he said, "people are doing this because they want to do it."
Yes.
And
It was like, what can we
yeah,
do?
yeah,
How
yeah,
can we
yeah.
do something?
They're helpless, and
Mhm.
they want to do something.
Mhm.
So I accepted it, and I said,
Mhm.
"Okay." I said, "This is a gift from God that they're doing this for, because obviously it's emotionally touched the entire community.
Mhm.
So we need to turn around, and we need to Maggie. You made a comment earlier about Maggie could have done so many great things. Well, I'm really believe that Maggie's still got a lot of great things to do. Even though she's not here. So we immediately, again, I was talking about having, taking up my time, staying busy.
Mhm.
So this wreck happened on New Year's Eve. Liam's in the hospital. I called up my boss at the time, and I think it was January 23rd. And I told him, I said, "Look," I said, "I'm coming back to work." And he said, "You're coming back to work?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I have to come back to work. Like, I have to." We were spending time at the hospital. She would stay a day, I would stay a day. It was only 2 times that one of us wasn't at the hospital. And that was for Caroline's funeral for 2 hours. We pulled up to the side, went in, and then we left and went right back to the hospital. And for Maggie's funeral, And so when I left that's all I knew was hospital and rehab for how long were we there?
20 something days.
So I needed to go back to work, because remember, idle time. If I would have stayed at home, I just can't get back to work. Plus, you got a family that you have to be strong on. I got a 3-year-old at the house. I have to stay strong for my wife and my family. That's what a man has to do. That's just how it is. So the foundation, we started it in I think I filed the articles of incorporation in March.
Okay.
And so immediately
Right.
went into action. We put together a board. I got a 7-member board, kind of variety of the community. Wanted to make sure I have an attorney, a financial advisor. I have my cousin who lost a child on board, and Liam and Tori are both on the board too. So yeah, so we immediately were trying to think, what can we do to give back? That was the thing, and people were still giving money, and they started giving it to the foundation. So I don't know if you want me to talk a little bit about what we did. If you want to say anything about the foundation, anything on your perspective,
the community outpour, like you were saying. Initially, just I want to do something. Can I give? I want to give something, and not even asking. Because sometimes we don't. Ask first. It's like we're gonna start this.
The record Saturday, and like Mo at Rio Monday.
Yeah.
Everything that they made that day, and then they ran out of food, so Tuesday, and then that started all the restaurant. It was just insane. Because that's what people over here do.
That's right.
They just
do that. Oh, right. That's what we do. I wanted to also let you guys know, and please, community, speak, back me up or piggyback. It had a lot to do with the way that you guys played a part in raising us, the community as well. Like, you've been so hands-on in Iberville. You've been hands-on in Iberville and West Baton Rouge. So when we saw that baby, we knew who she was. Initially we heard about the wreck. Then you see the kids who were involved. Initially seeing her face, that's Erin and Randall's babies.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's what we felt. And honestly, y'all, our hearts just broke.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that about being involved in the community. And I think a lot of people were wondering after the wreck. I kind of went silent. you know, because I needed to take care of things. You know, I don't believe in, you know, it's kind of like the little boy that cried wolf. If you go out and you're yapping and yapping and yapping, what you're saying doesn't have as big of an impact, you know. So I felt like I needed time, you know. So it's just been recently that I've been able to start talking about it, you know. And I felt like, you know, with the court case and everything going on, that yeah, I know people were wondering, you know, like when's he gonna say something? Because
You're
everybody knows
Randall.
how vocal I am.
Yes,
You know?
you're Randall.
And I just didn't want to do anything to jeopardize the case. And I felt like, you know, we had a lot of things to do with the foundation, and I felt like when it was time to talk, this was going to be the way we talk. You know, that's just how I felt. You know,
Very, very
yeah.
dignified and mature of you.
Thank you.
Because you know some of us like that.
Look, it was hard.
Don't even-
It was hard to not, you know, but you know.
Yes, we thank you. Thank you for doing it the way that you did.
Right.
How has the foundation been as far as now where do we want to go with it, where we're taking it?
I'll tell you a little bit about when we started, I didn't know what we would do. I was like, what can we do? Okay. The first thing we did was we said, all right, we were fortunate enough to have insurance and, you know, well enough to where we could pay for a funeral. Okay. You may have a couple that loses a child. They just getting started out. You know, maybe it's a stillborn. Maybe it's, you know, crib death or some young. They don't have funds to bury a child. You know, you see all the time people doing
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe and all that to help bury a child. And I just think that's just a tragedy when you don't have the money to put your child
It's
to
already
rest.
worse.
You know, right? It's already the worst time of your life, and then you're having to deal with that. You know, and it was something that I was thankful that we didn't have to deal with. So we started a medical, like a stipend program. So because the 3 parishes that got together and donated all the money, Point Capee, Iberville, West Baton, that was 3 parishes that kind of got behind the whole, you know, the whole movement. We decided to make that our service area. So so there's on the webpage, you can go in. We do a $500 funeral stipend or medical stipend that goes straight to the funeral home or to the medical facility, doctor's office, if there's medical bills involved. And it can be filled out, you know, online. And we take over the communications directly with the funeral home and get the money sent over. We've also started a scholarship. It's the Med Foundation Scholarship for Academic Perseverance, which means we also wanted to touch siblings who or family members who may be going through the same thing. So, for instance, if you have a child that's graduating from high school and they had a loss in their family, it could be any kind of loss. Say their house burnt down and they had, you know, just any kind of tragic event. But they persevered through that event to achieve academic success, and they have a plan to go to college. We gave out 4 scholarships this past year, $2,500 each to. We actually it's crazy because, and I want everybody to notice, you know, we're going to be sending them out again in January. We sent them to all the public schools and all the private schools in all 3 parishes, and we had 4 applicants. Yeah. So, you know, all 4 applicants got a scholarship that year. So I just encourage if somebody knows a child that's going through a tragedy to apply. All they had to do
resources there.
Yep. And they can apply at school or through our webpage. It's not up yet. It'll be up in January for the next cycle. One of the other things we did was we partnered with Hankies to Hope. You know, okay, so Miss Stephanie Macy, who I met shortly after the accident, she is crazy. Everything happens for a reason. But her daughter was she was 17. I think she was. Yeah, she was 17.
I think.
Yeah, she was a cheerleader also. I think this year's been 20 years. She was a cheerleader. She was coming back from a competition, a camp in Alabama. Wow. She was in a van. The van flipped, and she was ejected from the vehicle, and she lost a life in an accident. And Miss Stephanie's mission over the last 20 years has been to bring mothers together that have lost kids, and be able to have them in a place where they can speak to other people who've gone through the same thing, other mothers who've gone with, same loss. So she does a tea, Christmas tea, which is coming up in December.
Okay.
And then we've started on the west side, we started a luncheon in the spring. So that anybody can go to. It's not just limited to those three parishes.
Monthly.
Monthly hope group. That you can get all that information on
Like
our
a
webpage.
peer-to-peer support.
Yes, yeah.
Awesome.
So
And unfortunately, we've had a lot of tragic events over, on this side of the river, and being with somebody who's been in that same position, like, I have the best, most supportive friends, but talking to another mother,
Yes.
it's just, I mean, your husband and your friends, they still just don't understand.
Yeah.
And 20 years from now, it's still going to be just the same, and I mean, moms who are just a month out and 20 years out, like they still, like, they get you, and like they, it's important to be with moms, and dads to be with dads.
Yeah. I can remember after Liam was still in a wheelchair, and everybody, he was on the news. I didn't watch the news when all this was going on, but he was on the news, and everybody knew. Everybody knew who he was. I mean, just even people who didn't know us knew who he was. And I remember we decided to take him out to Superior Grill to eat, and we wheel him in the wheelchair, and it's like the whole place just goes quiet, and everybody's looking at us. And people get up out of the chair, and they pushing the chairs out of the way. And I'm wheeling him, and they helping him, and he sits in the chair, and you can see him, which you see people whispering, saying, that's them. I mean, And I shortly afterwards, I had lunch with my cousin who lost her son, and I asked her, I said, when does it stop? And she looked, and she goes, oh, you mean like everybody's looking at you like you're the elephant in the room? And she said, it doesn't stop. And she said, even when it stops, you still feel like everybody's looking at you. So the thought crossed my mind. I was like, for men, women who've lost kids, what we need to be is in a room with more elephants.
Yeah.
You see, so you see what I'm saying? Where everybody's an elephant. So that is where you're going to get your support, because you got to be around somebody who's going through the same thing.
That's good to me. In any sense, you will want to be in a room full of elephants. That's where you.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, guys, this has been. I'm thankful. I'm so thankful, and I'm so grateful that you guys came to the end table to talk to us, to share.
I do want to say one other thing.
Please do.
I got a couple other things, if you don't mind.
No, please, come on.
So we focus on mothers, our group, but I have a new project starting after the first of the year.
Tell us about it.
So I'll tell you, I started reading books after, again, stay occupied, and I found an author. Coping. I found this author, this guy, his name is Kelly Farley. Okay. Kelly Farley lost two of his kids, young kids, within 2 years. Okay. And this book right here is what he did was he was down. Like the path he took was opposite. This man right here is the reason why I took the path I took. I'll just tell you, because I could have stayed at home and just sulked, and you can spiral. You can spiral. They got.
Yeah.
I could have started drinking and drugs. I've lost my job. But this guy right here, he spiraled. Okay, and he came back from it. And what he did was he started interviewing dads. He started one-on-one. Okay, because let's face it, dads are not going to go sit in a grief group and cry on each other's shoulders. Right? It's not going to happen. But what he figured out was that if he could get dads one-on-one, and he could talk to them. He
Mm.
could tell his story, and they could tell their story back. Then he could find common ground, and it was his own therapy, and it was his therapy was also the dad's therapy too. So I've been in contact with the author. We talk pretty regularly, and
Good for you.
we provide these books to any dad who needs one. All I got to do is just send me a message on the webpage and let me know. But in January, I'm starting my own Grieving Dads project. So I'm going to start interviewing dads one-on-one. I have, and it's important, the perspective, of when, it's not just dads that lost their kids like a year ago. I'm going after, I want to know where I'm going to be in 20 years, I want to talk to that dad who's 20 years into the journey, and I want to know where am I going to be?
What's your possibility?
That's right. What's my where they at that stage? And at the end, I've already got 6 lined up. And at the end, I'm going to get Kelly to come here. Actually open up a new grief center in Baton Rouge. And we're going to get him to come and share his story. So I invite all of the dads, any dad who wants to come. But I'll get the core group that I did my project with. We'll do it over a year and get him to come and speak to the group. So that's my next project.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
So if you know anyone that
that's in the unfortunate group of grieving dads.
Tell them to give me a call, because I really do. I like to talk to people about it.
It's cool that you said that. When I met somebody who she had lost a child like 15 years ago, and another child, and then she's talking, she's lost 2 children, and she said something to me about hope, and I remember, and like that kind of is how I started to find faith, because I'm thinking, how can this woman even use the word hope? And then so I'm thinking, okay, the hope is that we will see our children, maybe not this side of heaven again, but we will see them again, and I guess that's how she found, that's how she can be hopeful. And, this, maybe that far out, I can actually use words like that again and be okay with it. But
that's beautiful.
Since it's Thanksgiving next week, I just want to tell you that I'm very thankful for you to bring us here. And it's 2 years later, but I'm still able to be grateful for a lot of things. And I feel very blessed to have Liam, and I'm very, like, I think every day about the 6,298 days that Maggie was on this earth, and like I'm never gonna let her life be reduced to her death, ever. She was a beautiful person, and like I'm grateful for those things all the time. And I appreciate you. Don't. I appreciate you letting us come here and talk about her. We'll talk about her all the time, and we're gonna always continue to push for positive changes as a result of this.
These tears are for the reminder. Sometimes we can take life for granted. A lot of times we can take life for granted. And I wake up tomorrow and I just expect my baby to be there. I expect for her to make it home from school safe.
And that's just how I managed to get through the holidays last year. The holidays were hard. And I decided I was not going to sit around the Thanksgiving table and be sad. I was going to be grateful for the 17 years that we had, because every one of them that she was part of was beautiful. And
people ask me all the time, like, how do you do this?
Mm-hmm.
How you get up every day and do this? Well, I know that the day Maggie died, there was no stone left unturned between us. That's the thing that I'm thankful for. It's most parents say, excuse me, most parents will say, man, I wish I could have done this. I wish I told them I loved them. I wish I wouldn't have, whatever it is. You know what I can say that I wish I would have done with her?
Not literally.
I never went to a concert.
Yeah.
I never went to see a concert. That's what pops in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
You want to experience that with her?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people say, man, I wish I wouldn't have been I wish I would have paid more attention. I wish I wouldn't have worked so much. None of that. Because what we had was beautiful.
She said, I love you. She hugged, kissed you every time she walked out the door. I mean,
Mr. Kenny say, tell her about the 45.
Well, she had signed up as a organ donor, and they weren't able to use much because of the way the accident happened. But I did get a phone call from Lopo saying that because they used tissue, they were able to use tissue, and 45 different people have parts of Maggie. And that's not counting like bone or any of that, because that's a different like agency. Maybe we'll find out about that one day too.
Yeah.
But I think that's a beautiful thing too.
Oh gosh.
It's a very Maggie selfless.
Yes, it is, right? Guys, in the
Make you
comment
cry.
section, I need you guys just to pour out so much love right now on Miss Erin and Mr. Randall, and just let them know how much you love them and how you are affected and just how grateful you are, because even in the midst, God is still good. He's still good.
You're right.
And we're so thankful that you guys came and shared with us. And Liam is just looking so good.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he's just loved, and we love him. We love him. I hope that he could feel the community, because we were all just praying and hoping that he came home safe. And so to see him, it just feels like, look at God, look at our prayers,
You need to get him. You need to get him on your podcast.
Mhm.
next time.
You think that he would?
Oh,
You
he's an
know,
expert.
He's watching, so maybe
Yeah.
he'll
I
comment.
know.
Maybe he'll
Liam, would you
comment.
come on the end table next season
Mhm.
and tell us your story? Please do. Please do. Any last words, guys? Anything that you want to say? I'm going to be pinning comments while you guys are talking and just let you see the people. Anything? Last words, both of you. I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah, you know.
I just have to say how grateful I am to to everybody for everything that was done. Like I've never like felt like so much a part of a community, but it's like a whole group of strangers just became friends, and our friends became family. Just to be, I mean, like this whole West Side community just like literally just wrapped themselves around us for the last year, and we wouldn't have gotten through it without anybody, without everyone here. My students were amazing. I don't know if any of them are watching, but especially last year, her senior class, I could never have gotten through it without them. I love all of them. I miss them. And my administration and everybody has been amazing too. My coworkers, my husband's been all right. He's been amazing too. I love you, buddy. I think that means he's coming on.
Yes, and he said he loves all of us. He said he loves all y'all. Thank you. We love you too.
And Tori has done amazing through this. She's at Port Allen High, which
I remember
Pelicans are
Tori
in, but
being
she
boss
is
baby.
doing so
You remember
good
she
there.
was the
She's-
boss baby?
she's
She was
the
the boss baby.
She's the boss grown up.
She used to have us in line like.
Yeah, the boss grown up, because she's found like her spot at Port Allen High. She's doing so good there. She's got kids.
She's
who
a
support her and
Pelican?
great- Yeah, that's the only part I don't like, but whatever. But she loves it there, and I'm so glad she's doing so great there too. And tomorrow's her birthday.
Happy birthday, Tori!
She'll be
Aw.
20.
No way.
I don't know. I'm almost 40.
Who had it? Who has a 29? I don't know. Who they talking about?
But we just appreciate all these.
So,
Close us
yeah,
out.
so me, so I got a couple things. I
Go.
got something I got to give you. So, yeah, a little gift for you. But before,
Thank you.
you know, first of all, I want to thank the community because, you know, we talked a lot about what the outpouring went right after everything happened.
Mhm.
But we hosted a golf tournament at the foundation.
Yes.
Yeah, we hosted one last year and one this year. And the community is continuing to support, you know, the foundation. So I would like to thank everyone for doing that. Last year in January, I went on a retreat. I went on a silent retreat. I'm going back again this year.
Okay.
And I had time to reflect. It's silent. It goes dark, and you know you can't talk to anybody. It's all men. You can't talk to anybody from noon on Friday until noon on Sunday. So we listen. There's a priest that leads the.
I was about to say, what do you listen
Yeah,
to?
the priest. We listen to the priest.
Okay.
He goes over scripture and everything else. And at night we have time. Yeah, Manresa. Yeah. So we have time to reflect at night and and read. And this I want to read something to y'all because it's something that really caught my eye, and it's kind of my go-to when things get rough.
Okay.
And I don't even know where it came from. I just was jotting.
Okay. Give it to me.
So it's so hard to see anything good out of loss. Use what that person meant to you and make something good happen. It doesn't have to be a physical event, but maybe a change in yourself that restores hope in another person. So the key word there is hope. And at that, for whatever reason, and I know the reason, but over the last 2 years, that's been that word hope has been everywhere. Just in everything I read, everything, it's just that is the key to moving on. I say never getting over, but moving yourself, mulling yourself through this loss is keeping hope, and hopefully something that you do can restore hope in somebody else, in another person. Whether it be a good deed,
Amen.
foundation, or
Amen.
whatever you can do to make that happen. I got something. Brought you a little gift.
Oh, fine. Yeah.
Open it up and you can still, yeah, it's just a little swag from the
Yes, child.
Yeah, so I got a shirt. You didn't answer me when I asked you shirt size.
Oh,
So if it don't fit, I'll get you another size.
no, I love it. I'll make it fit.
Just let me know.
That's for him.
This is our handwriting.
Yeah. So okay, so I'll tell you. So it's crazy. But flipping around because the big logo is on the back, I'll be able to see it better. So Maggie in school, she wrote a note to a friend of hers, like a
John Foster.
Yeah, to John Foster.
American Idol John Foster.
Well, yeah. So
John.
So the note basically was telling him that he's going to do great things, with his life, and that he's very talented and musically. And what we did was he gave it to me afterwards. He gave me a copy of it and the note, and I was like, man, I said, and I looked at it and I was like, he said it was for a class project, and I said, John Foster, it's not for a class project. She meant every word she said. I mean, she really did. So we took the lettering, the word foundation, wasn't no, but we used her handwriting.
Yes.
Yeah, and so MED is her initials, and we just in the light, the rays of sunshine, her initials, and
What's her middle name?
Edley.
Edley.
That was my grandmother's name.
Oh. And I'm like,
I just some other little things.
taking it out. No, get my stuff, lady. Great juice. Depending on the hour.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, I was gonna put as I was leaving, I was gonna put everything in this bag, but my wife said it's not a good idea. We need to put it in something a little nicer, So I put the bag in there.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. you.
No.
Thank y'all so much for coming. I love y'all so much. Guys, I'm pinning comments. Hope. My mom says hope. The word of the night, hope.
That's right.
Hope. May God continue to bless and strengthen you. Awesome. A former student. She said she's a former student.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Randall, I've been loving you and your family for a lifetime and always will. Maddie will never die because you and your wife, God bless you all.
And I forgot to tell my mom I saw you at the store the other day, but she's probably watching.
That's so Blackman, right? I gotta tell my mom at the store that I saw you. I saw your mom at the store. That is just us. That is so us. Guys, thank y'all. Again, I need everyone. How can we tap into the Med Foundation? What's the website? How can we?
Yeah, so it's medfound.org or maggiedunnfoundation.com, but
Okay.
medfound.org is an easier way to get there. So all the programs we talked about, you can go on there and apply for them, check them out. Send me a message if you got any questions. If you're interested in being part of the Grieve and Dance Project and there's someone who wants to be a part of it, just contact me and let me know. We'll get that going.
Amen. Amen. Guys, I don't want to let you leave the end table without me praying with you guys. Do you mind me praying with you? Dear God, we come to you in this moment, first and foremost, to say thank you. God, I thank you for this family. Thank you for this union, God. Thank you for being able to come together and honor the spirit of the beautiful Miss Maggie Dunn. God, we ask that you touch Caroline's family as well. Give them peace, give them comfort, wrap your loving arms around them. We also ask that you wrap your loving arms around Liam. We thank you for him, God. Lord, your mercy and your grace has brought us to this moment where we can see him in the comment section commenting along with us. God, that is a miracle in your grace in real time. God, we ask that you touch every family that has to deal with the loss during the holidays. It's not easy for everyone. We ask that you just give them some type of comfort, play a song or let a friend call or someone who they haven't seen in a long time. Maybe you see them in the grocery store, Lord. Whatever it is, I just pray for comfort and grace. It is in the matchless name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Thank God and amen.
Amen.
We love you guys. That's a wrap for season 8.
Studio.
It's the studio audience. That's a wrap on season 8. You guys have been wonderful. I need everybody to keep commenting in the comment section, letting everybody know where they can find you. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, hey girl. Where's
My wife-in-law.
That's
Your wife-in-law?
where's Gemma? Where is she? Is she commenting? That's probably her.
No, that's it. Might.
Her in the comment section. We
Won't be
love y'all.
long.
It won't be long. We love y'all. Good night. Bye.
Bye-bye.